Hey guys, D Smooth753 here, back again with another video. I've been thinking a lot about one-trick ponies. Those characters that have one gimmick and their entire franchise is based around that one thing that they can do. And there's a lot of writing problems that come about when you have a character who can only do one thing. These one gimmick, one-trick characters. Let's talk about it. Here's a perfect example. Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic is infamous for the many mistakes that he's made in his video game career. Sonic has one thing. He's super fast. He runs at the speed of sound and fights an overweight scientist. But here's the thing. He can only do one thing. This is why throughout the series they add in power-ups, they add in other playable characters, they frequently add in puzzles to solve, they add in little collectibles that you can find scattered across the game. This is why Sonic went through that infamous phase in the 2000s when he did all that weird stuff, when he turned into a werewolf, when he had a sword, when he tried to rip off uh, Final Fantasy. It's because his one gimmick isn't enough to hold down a game. Imagine the whole game is just Sonic running fast. Sounds boring. Even in the original game, even in the original Genesis, they still had to add in those puzzles to solve. They still had to do all that stuff. They still had to add in the special stages and all that stuff. They did all that because they know that just running fast isn't enough. And this is the first problem you come across when you have a one-trick pony. You could, A, add an extra fluff. Now, the downsides of this is that you could potentially add something that doesn't match or doesn't make sense, such as the werewolf, the werehog, as you want to call it. Now, here's another example of a one-trick pony who isn't exactly handled well over the years. The Flash. Flash has one gimmick. He is super fast, runs at the speed of light. How do you handle that from a writing perspective? Let's give him more powers. Have him vibrate his molecules. Like he moves so fast, he vibrates his molecules. He can phase through objects. Okay, that doesn't really make any sense. Let's have an entire dimension of speed, the Speed Force. That just doesn't make any sense. Let's introduce other speedster characters. They're also super fast. It's like you're running out of ideas. You're running out of ideas. And this is the second problem you come across when you have a one-trick pony. You just push that one thing as far as it can possibly go. And when you do this, you run the risk of just becoming stupid. The Flash, and I'm not saying The Flash is a bad series or has bad stories, though he does have some bad stories. I'm saying that this is just a problem that comes about when you have a one-trick pony. Their way of handling this is to push that one thing as far as it can go. The Flash outran instant teleportation. That doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't even make sense. But this is the problem you come across when you have a guy who just does one thing. Here's another problem. Here's another character. Saitama. Saitama also has one thing. He beats everybody in one punch. That's all he can do. And he doesn't have any other abilities. He can't fly or shoot lasers out of his eyes. He just punches and kicks and farts. That's it. That's all he can do. So, how do you handle that from a writing perspective? In season 2, he was barely even in. Like, in the way they handled it in season 1 is that they had him aloof, had him be stupid, have him not be there during serious moments, and then he just pops in for a joke. And they made the entire series about him trying to find a true opponent. Literally, the whole point of the series is to end his gimmick of one punching. That's the whole point of the series. And in season 2, they wanted to further expand upon the lore of the universe, so they had Saitama not be there. Saitama was barely in season 2. That's what you got to do when you have a character like that. And it's not just that he beats everybody in one point. It's that that's all he can do is just punch. has no other abilities besides that. And they have to add this mystery behind how did he get so strong. Like, literally part of the entire show is solving the mystery of how did he get like that. That's the whole point of this freaking story. That's the problem you come across when you have characters like this. And here's one example of a one-trick pony who I believe is very well handled from a gameplay perspective. The Doomslayer. Doomslayer has one thing: kills demons. That's it. Kills demons, and and they do a little bit of both. They go the Sonic route and they go the Flash route. They push the demon killing as far as they possibly can by having him a range of weapons that you can use it with, and have certain modes, other modes that you can play the game in. But they also go the Sonic route and having secrets scattered across the they have secrets scattered across the entire game that you can find. Can't name any at the time. They also have platforming sections. There's some points where it literally turns into just a Mario level. That's what Doom Eternal felt like to me. A lot of the times, it felt like a Mario level. They have little puzzles that you can solve. They have other modes where you play as the demons. And even even with all that, the same problems still persist. The story is trash. It makes no sense when you play the game. You literally have to go outside the game, have to go to external sources in order for things to make sense. But that's the problem when you have a one-trick pony. Guy does one thing, push it as far as possible, and have to add in extra fluff just for things to make sense. If you're a writer, if you're a game designer, comic book developer, just know if you create a character who can only do one thing, you're going to come across these problems. Thanks, guys. Like and subscribe.